Welcome back into European Masters. We're almost ready for the final match of this quarterfinals between HMA Fnatic Rising and Movistar Riders. This one game will decide who makes it to the semifinals.
I'm looking forward to this one as well, right? I mean, our game one was long, it was bloody, it was extended. Game two, Movistar came in and slapped Fnatic right across the face. So I feel like Fnatic need to go back to the drawing boards a little bit and get prepared mentally for this game three, because one of these teams is going home after this.
When we look at the draft and what's happened in the past, Senna has made it all the way to the second rotation of bans both games. Normally, she's something that's been prioritized by a lot of teams, banned that early on. I wonder if that's the change that we need to see coming in from Fnatic as we jump into Champion Select. Already banning away Thresh, and then on the other side, Taric, of course. 100% ban towards Bravado.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, looking at stuff like the center, perhaps, to come on through, I don't think you can replace, perhaps, the Corki that MagiFelix has liked to go for early on, but something like the Trundle that's been a first pick hasn't felt like it's been a huge impact towards me. They are going to ban away the Graves, though, this time around, so finally Fnatic saying we need to mix something up, but I don't really feel like Graves has been the biggest problem for them.
I agree with you. While Eloya does provide that assurance that they could easily scale up into the game, it hasn't been like the dominating factor for them. It feels like it's been a combination of what Movistars have drafted, especially in that last game, but it does seem both teams are giving respect, saying, you know what, we want to see you on a different jungle. We want to see the impact you have on something that you haven't been playing as much. Trundle gone from Dan, Graves gone from Eloya.
All right, I do want to give a quick shout out, as we've been talking a lot about these junglers and the Graves. Thanks, Yankos, for the raid. Over 5K entering into the chat. So big ups to you over there. And we're switching stuff up. We already saw the Trundle ban through, so now it is going to be the priority rising up on the Sett here for the side of Fnatic, which probably just gets answered by the Ornn again. I don't feel like Movistar are uncomfortable in that matchup at all, even though the Sett can still technically flex towards that bottom side. Ornn completely fine to blind pick here.
They're going to go for the blind pick. Sett, Ornn, make it so that Ornn also has that flexibility, but the misfortune going to rise up in priority for Hava. Say, let's grab that early so they don't know what's coming through for jungle. We'll keep them on their toes. They hovered Rek'Sai saying, Dan, we know you want to play it. Come on, we dare you. Do it. Just
They're
do
trying
it.
to bait him into the pick. It's a complete trap here. All right, but unless you can make stuff happen early on, like that champion struggles a whole lot against a lot of the options that Movistar have already shown in these mid-game fights and just that ability. So it will be the Sett plus Syndra bot lane, presumably here. A very powerful 2 versus 2 matchup. And the Renekton for Pride if they want to lock that in. And I honestly like that a bit. We don't need to feel super pressured to lock in any junglers. There's still a whole lot left on the board here. You've now guaranteed some physical damage too, so if MagiFelix wants to go back towards a Corki, which, let's face it, likely gets banned next to the Azir as well, then, he's going to have other stuff he can fall onto as well.
It's a change that we wanted to see from Fnatic. It gives them flexibility. Xico, though, saying, I'm very confident on my Orianna, regardless of what you're going to play. We'll take away things such as Azir, maybe ban away Corki as well, or maybe they dare MagiFelix to play that again into Orianna.
Let's see. I'm trying to check. Like, MagiFelix so far this tournament has only played Azir, Corki, and Cassiopeia.
Yes.
Right? So I feel like you could just toss the Corki ban down onto him. Again, like, even though there's still, like, flex possibilities, like, this Syndra almost, like, certainly going into the bottom lane, I would have to guess here for the squad of Fnatic.
But, see, this is where I'm wondering if maybe MagiFelix even flexes Syndra into mid lane, and then Senna, that has been left open with that Ziggs now being banned, they grab that for themselves. You know Misfortune is on the other side. You know that they're not going to pick the AD carry here, so why not switch it up some more?
Okay, so the Ziggs is an interesting one, because I think we have seen xMatty play that for himself, but to actually say Movistar thinking that it could be Syndra going in towards the mid lane, while it could be a fine matchup into the Orianna, does surprise me just a little bit. The Sejuani, not so much though. Again, Eloya just wants to facilitate for his team. It gives them yet another long-range engage option, which is something it feels like Fnatic, again, are missing just a little bit outside of the Syndra stun.
That's definitely a good point, that they kind of need something a little bit more reliable than just having Syndra stun. Well, of course, you do have Facebreaker from Sett. You can pull people in. You have to be able to flash into the middle of everyone and somehow grab them all to you. It's not reliable, CC.
I think Fnatic saw the G2 raid, and they're just trying to lock in a G2 draft right now. They saw the Yankos raid, and now they just want to play G2 because if you have Syndra Sett in the bot lane, Olaf in the jungle, this is about as G2 as it could possibly get for this team, for a little early mid powerhouse, and try to run over Movistar before they can really get the ball rolling.
Or is it going to be the flex of Syndra mid lane? Aphelios locked in. So Aphelios Sett bot lane, or do you even go further? You go really big brain and you put Aphelios mid lane.
I'll be honest, so I was around when a lot of the Aphelios, or some of the Aphelios testing was happening, of course, and for a long time Aphelios was actually really nasty in the mid lane, but of course are going to be expecting that to go to xMatty down in the bottom side. I think it removes a lot of the kill threat that you have, especially on the level 6 breakpoints and like gank assist as well, potentially. Especially when a Janna now gets locked in on the other side. Movistar have thrown down the gauntlet here. They said, again, you're trying to run 3 melees into us? Well, now you're just not going to touch us.
It's just not something we've seen for a while. Janna has fallen so far from the grace and the dominance that she once had back in the Ardent Sensor meta. It's surprising to see her pick, but you're right, it works very well into the composition that has been drafted by Fnatic. Pretty much says you have to run to us. I can easily disengage whenever I need to. Tornado, Monsoon, pushes them back, so they have to burn so much more just to be able to stick to someone like JaVaaa or Xico.
Yeah, and of course you can say, hey, Olaf can completely ignore that Janna, but you think about who's going to be trying to start off fights, especially on flanks. It's either going to be the Sett or it's going to be the Renekton too. Right. So Janna has a lot of abilities. Her Q, her ultimate, sort of keep you at arm's length, buy time, buy space for her backline as well, especially when you're also got a shield from Orianna and Janna to try and soak up burst abilities like that Syndra ultimate. Again, it feels like Movistar are always finding ways to round out their composition very nicely.
This is pretty much every single game we have seen from them here in the quarterfinals. We love their drafts, but we need to see the execution. They did it in game 2. They rallied back after a very close game 1 to be able to decisively take down Fnatic, but you gotta imagine, Fnatic are going to learn from their mistakes, go back to the drawing boards, listen to Nico DePico, their coach, and say, what do we need to do to fix the problems? Really, we look at that last game. It was that fight around Rift Herald, you mentioned it before, that was wishy-washy for Fnatic. It gave a lot of power back to Movistar that might have delayed them being able to scale.
And I think that's an obvious moment you can look to and say, hey, Fnatic, you could have played it differently. You could have chosen not to fight there. Like, there were a lot of different options. But I actually think the 8 minutes preceding that were equally, if not more important too. You know, we saw Dan on the Trundle pick again in the same exact jungle matchup with a very similar bot lane matchup too, go for the same exact route. And it didn't result in anything again for the team. So now that he's on the Olaf, he has a little bit more power. This is actually a situation where I would love to see him get more aggressive in the early game. If it's just a full clear on the Olaf, I don't think that is necessarily success for the squad. Now, if it is Olaf either looking to maybe make a play down bot side or walk into the enemy jungle after he hits level 3, that's something that a couple of our Olaf players in the LEC love to do, and I think will be a great way to kick off the start of game 3 with a little bit more early aggression.
Looking at the composition Fnatic have, it worked with this Olaf jungle if he's ganking early. We mentioned before, Sett, he's not reliable CC. He does provide a good amount when he's able to get into the backline. Well, you have Olaf, Undertow. He's going to be able to slow people down when he throws his axe at people, which allows Sett to get into the backline even easier. It's going to be much more on the agency of rhuckz and how he's able to utilize those tornadoes to be able to survive those ganks, and that's difficult into people who are going to be running at your backline and trying to flash over the CC you can provide early.
Yeah, and what Dan's just going to be doing in his first path here is a lot will tell me whether or not he goes for Raptors before the red buff or just into the red. Okay, Raptors means it's going to be a full jungle clear. Doesn't look like there's a great window to gank bot lane either now, as Movistar were able to fully bounce the wave in towards the tower. But with Pride walking on into the enemy jungle there, seeing that Krugs are gone, he should know the exact path Eloya has taken. He's just gone very low in the jungle, as is common on Olaf when you're just looking for the fast full clear route, which means there won't be any sort of blue buff invade, which I do think is somewhat of a possibility here.
That's Olaf for you. He's going to be safe. He's not really worried about that. So going for that full clear, then going to be able to back, try to see if maybe he can fight over the Scuttle Crab, but because they know that the Krugs were taking topside, going to be Eloya trying to fight around that Scuttle Crab, and since Dan is relatively healthy now, he might be able to fight back decently, but they have no lane priority in the bot lane to actually be able to put that good of a resistance up.
Yeah, this shouldn't actually wait. With rhuckz and JaVaaa looking for some poke now, they are a little bit vulnerable.
Gonna be able to get the slow coming in.
Good tornado, man.
Trying to see if they can get the rip though. xMatty is able to get the exhaust on Dan. A lot of damage. He had to flash away to be able to survive. Look at the TPs. How many was that into the bot lane? More to come. We're going to have an early game fight. Game 3, they're putting it all on the line within the first 5 minutes. First blood goes over to Pride.
What is going on? We just had a 5v5 at 3 minutes in the bot lane. Like, it's not even ARAM. That's what's going on down here. Everyone committing on in there. Eloya thinking he's playing an assassin there with the Sejuani flashing into 5 members, and he pays the price. I don't think anyone should have died right there, but somehow he found a way.
They all committed TPs to that play. Every single one used into the bot lane, and it's Pride who comes out ahead, getting the first blood onto Renekton. This is going to be a much more difficult top lane than beansu had initially planned on it being.
What is happening?
I was like, I want some early aggression.
You asked for it, they delivered.
Fight
I don't know what you're saying. You asked for it.
Yeah, it was really a strange situation too, because it seemed like JaVaaa and rhuckz made a bit of a mistake at the start as well. They'd fully pushed the wave into tower, and they thought, hey, we can actually put down some poke because our Sejuani is close by, but very likely should have known Dan could be in the area. They didn't have a ward necessarily either, so based on that one decision they made to poke instead of ward, we end up getting pretty much every summoner spell in the game blown in first blood to Fnatic.
That's crazy. This is game 3, too. This is where it's all on the line. Do or die moment. And it seems that Fnatic, Movistar, they wanted to put it on the line in a very risky fight that ends up paying out for Fnatic, getting them this early lead that could net them things such as this Cloud Dragon that is up on the table for them to be able to secure. With Dan playing this Olaf 2 into Sejuani, makes it a little bit more difficult for Movistar in the mid game that they had done so well in the previous game to be able to fight back consistently.
Yeah, so here's the thing with Fnatic, is that because they have a Sett as opposed to a Janna on the other side, it becomes much easier for them to get vision control around mid lane. MagiFelix also should be able to get pushed a lot of the time, so he can be unlocked to move down through this river. At the same time, Flash is still up for Bravado and xMatty, where Flash is down on JaVaaa, so it gives so much pressure down towards the bottom side, even though you're looking at double range champions for Movistar Riders. They have an Olaf too, so Fnatic smartly going to be able to move up and pick this Drake up for themselves. And then maybe can look to find an opening down inside of this bottom lane. Could even potentially be a dive. They don't have great vision inside the enemy jungle, but that was a window where they could have looked, right? Had MagiFelix, after pushing the wave, wanted to walk down, that was open to them.
Maybe a little bit afraid. They did spot out a control board placed down right there outside of Wraith Camp, or Gromp Camp, to make it so that they're not going to reliably be able to get a dive onto JaVaaa and rhuckz. They're going to know and put off before they're able to get in position in time.
Yeah. There are other options you can make, though, and I think that's one thing people don't necessarily appreciate is the opportunity of just, like, faking down into the Fog of War after you know you cleared out the river. Had MagiFelix just disappeared for a couple of seconds, could have forced JaVaaa and rhuckz to back away from the wave and lose some CS, but now he's just top lane by himself.
I was about to say, you
Dan's
saw
not even here with him.
He saw him.
What
he saw the jungler, and he's still pathed to be threatening towards beansu. Okay. I respect it. I respect it, MagiFelix. He's not done either. Look at this. He's now the.
Oh, he got spotted. It doesn't matter. He's taking
it and giving it to Dan. He's like, "Here's a present for you, my dude." Oh no, he just throws it away. Look how fast that boy is. He's a fast boy.
I can't. I can't.
Well, too bad. You have to. Because Eloya is still going to be able to get red buff, despite the fact that MagiFelix tossed it all the way towards the Baron Pit and said, alright, you're not going to have this for a little bit of time, but it doesn't really pan out for anything. Everyone's recalling, buying some of these first items. In fact, Xico even going for early Merc Treads into Syndra, just to be able to stay in lane a bit more and not have to worry about the damage that MagiFelix is able to unleash.
Yeah, I would support the early Merc Treads from MagiFelix as well. Right, like you're against Orianna, so obviously the MR is going to be important, but also against a Sejuani when you don't have a cleanse to rock yourself. Gives you a little bit more protection, but We'll see if he ends up going for that. I feel like it's been a while he based. Of course, he teleported bot side very early on, and there's a Rift Herald he wants to contest. There's a blue buff to pick up afterwards, so he may not be going home for quite some time.
Not yet. Waiting for a little bit more gold to be able to go back. Still is pretty decent on mana, you can see. Sitting on 1,300 gold. MagiFelix. It's been some time, but not really that long. Enough time where they can secure Rift Herald topside, blue buff for Dan, maybe even MagiFelix pathing, then recalling immediately after securing the buff.
So, because Herald was now sort of snuck away by Fnatic, this is going to be our first game of the series where we don't have like an all-in brawl around the top side. So while we got the 10v, or the 10v10, the 5v5.
I was about to say, man, 10v10.
Fight. Dude, that's the future of League of Legends. You heard it here first. We're not going to have that big team fight coming anytime soon, so it actually is going to end up stalling out a bit.
Yes, but this is where we still see Dan going topside. The turret's so low. One charge from Shelly going to be able to knock down first turret and gifted a lot of that over to Pride, who's already been able to get a significant lead over beansu. Renekton, mentioned before, was able to get the early kill and now gifted all that gold, has already gotten Blade of the Rune King.
Things are going quite well for Fnatic at the moment. They should be able to carry that momentum into the first Drake in a minute and a half as well. And this isn't the end of the world for Movistar, right? Like, their team fight looking great. They're going to have the Ornn items coming through eventually, right? When they've got, you know, 2 items on JaVaaa and Orianna, that's when they should be getting the Molten Edge, the Rabadon's Death Crown as well on those 2 players. So that's maybe what we're waiting on, is to pass them to look really strong here, because at the moment Fnatic just have pressure in the majority of their lanes. Top lane, mid lane for sure. MagiFelix surprisingly going to be going for the Hextech GLP as well, which is really interesting on the Syndra. But if you recall, what has been the problem from Fnatic in every single game so far? It's the reliability of their engage, and I actually think this makes some sense when you figure, hey, from long range, how do we start things off? Well, it's just Syndra QE. Well, now you have QE plus the slows there to try and set that up.
I am with it. I 100% like it. Change adaptation from Fnatic Rising. This is why they've been able to get to the semifinals so many times. They're decisive when it matters. They're trying to make the play in the bot lane, but they lose MagiFelix in the mid. They're going to be able to get the kill on the JaVaaa despite the fact that they did lose their mid laner.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to push that in for plates in the bot side as well without any wave clear bot side. And actually, no, they're going to forget the plates. They say Infernal Drake is spawning in 10 seconds, and MagiFelix will have teleport to enter, so it gives them full control over this river. Movistar will not want to contest this one at all.
With TP on MagiFelix as well, easily can get Syndra back here. The moment you try to put up a fight from Movistar, you'll probably see that TP be channeled by MagiFelix to be able to get here. He's hanging out in the base
really
to be able
going
to threaten
for this.
Movistar, I'm surprised. They're trying to see if they can put at least a little bit of a threat back, but it's going to be the stun on Xico. Had to flash over the wall to be able to survive. All that still secured Dragon for the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, the posturing right there almost ends up costing Xico his life. If he wasn't faster on the flash, Pride certainly would have him. So lucky to trade 1 for 1 in the end right here. Is we're going to check out the mid lane play. MagiFelix, just without any vision control, gets jumped on, immediately bursted on down, and does 300 damage with his ultimate.
Generally why you see
Sejuani.
Cleanse for mid laners against Sejuani.
Yeah,
for that.
it's why you see a cleanse or the early Merc Treads like I was talking about. Like, maybe could have given room to flash away there.
But unfortunately dies. It doesn't seem like it mattered too much for the side of Fnatic. They still got the Infernal Dragon. They still won the fight in bot lane. There's not very much that Movistar can do at this moment to be able to take away some of this vision and some of the priority that's already been laid down by Fnatic, especially for Bravado and xMatty in the bot lane.
Yeah, they're going to be finishing off the Infinity Edge very soon, and I was wondering, does Bravado take the aggressive stance to try and zone JaVaaa away from the minions? He will not, but JaVaaa will lose out a bit right there underneath the tower. And just looking up and down the scoreboard right now, it's very clear who is in control of this game with those first items. And Dan also in the area. MagiFelix with the ability to move down. Luckily for Movistar, they have vision, to protect them, so they still can farm away those minions. But that could be the next move for Fnatic if they want to walk in there, deny the wards, and then every single time MagiFelix disappears, all of a sudden, JaVaaa has to back away and lose CS.
See, this is telling me right now Twitch chat is not spamming enough spiders. They're not supporting Movistar riders. They gotta spam the spiders, but then if you're a Fnatic fan, you gotta spam more static, so maybe it actually is being traded out evenly in Twitch chat. You'll have to tell me that, Ender. You're the one staring at that.
Look, no one is an expert of the chat. Chat sort of has a mind of its own.
That's
you know,
true.
we can analyze it. It's like Twitter analysts, right? You know, like you can kind of pretend like you know what's going on, but at the end of the day, who's really to say?
That's factual. That's very factual. We'll just stick to what we're good at, which is talking about League of Legends. Dan, Pride, able to posture pretty aggressively on the top half of the map since Turret was taken down really early by Fnatic. This damage already from Pride since he had an early Blade of the Rune King. beansu pretty much not really allowed to lane effectively into this Renekton matchup. Anytime he tries to step forward to clear out minion waves, it's going to be a trade of damage.
Oh, play in the mid lane.
Okay, flash from MagiFelix. Still surviving, still alive. The heal from xMatty
no.
and the pull back in. Xico unfortunately got slammed underneath the wrong turret. The knockback from MagiFelix denies Eloya from going any further in the fight as well. rhuckz, wait, flash forward. Come on, do it. There you go. Oh, there it is.
Oh
He gets the
my
kill.
God.
I was waiting for it. Oh, and now he's too far out. And he already flashed. Here's Pride saying, this is what happens when you're Janna. You try to play aggressively. Has JaVaaa nearby. They're going to be able to at least scare away Pride, but had to burn both flash and exhaust now for Janna. So if an upcoming fight does ensue, Fnatic have multiple advantages.
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, they lost to MagiFelix during that play. But man, the start of it too, where Bravado just picked up Xico, dunked him underneath the tower right there. Now, Movistar still playing aggressively. rhuckz, while he is low on HP, has ulti, so he can instantly heal on through that one. And the damage dealers for Fnatic are very far away.
Xico also TP'd into the play, wanting to be able to contest this objective. They know that they can't continue to bleed out gold into Fnatic. They have to put up a little bit of resistance here around Rift Herald. Dan, not even going to try to go for the smite fight against Eloya. Instead, they're looking for the fight, but they got to be careful. Their backline was taken so low. They've got rhuckz locked in the pit. They pick up the kill for Eloya over his opponent jungler, but they're going to lose rhuckz and Xico immediately from Pride. Everyone else having to try to see if they can get out of the fight, but it's so hard against this crocodile. He's insane.
Oh, Movistar continue to be cursed by over-forcing objectives, and right there at the 15-minute mark inside of the pit, Pride destroys them and rips them apart. Again, they think, hey, we can start this off. None of the damage dealers are here. Well, joke's on you. You gave them time by funneling up inside of the pit. It wasn't a zoning ult just there on the Ornn. Like, they can't escape from the situation. They get cut off at the pass. They're stuck inside. And while they can turn it around to find the one pick kill on towards Dan, you now have Aphelios with red and white guns inside of the pit and a Renekton. You're just never going to beat that.
No, you already used Shockwave too, and you didn't pick up the kill in the backline. They were able to not only survive, but then come back into the fight, get enough damage on the outskirts where nobody can punish them. Fnatic find themselves in the position Movistar had in Game 2. They're firmly in the lead, but Movistar do not give up easily. They continue to try to look for small skirmishes against Fnatic, always wanting to put up a fight, knowing that this will put Fnatic at Ocean Soul points.
So many ults are on cooldown right now, but Bravado has Predator and his ulti and the flash. He can flash over this wall and find an insane flank on the Sett here if Xico or anyone on the side of Movistar find themselves out of position.
They pop Rift Herald mid lane, hoping that it's going to divert Fnatic away, but they don't. They continue to put the pressure onto this Ocean Dragon. They want to do to Movistar what happened to them last game. They want to make it so it's an early Ocean Dragon soul that they can pick up. They're looking for the engage. They already picked up the Dragon, then looking for the fight. They get a lot of damage on a beansu. This is what happens when Renekton is 3-0-1 at 17 minutes. He can almost delete your tank. He can get so much damage onto them. They force away Movistar, who now have to go back to the drawing board and hope that they can find something else to be able to get them back.
And they're going to have to figure that out in the next 5 minutes because very similar to last game, you give over the ocean towards Fnatic, they can use that to great effect here. It's going to be so hard to cut on through them. You know, we've seen JaVaaa go for the early Executioner's calling in both games so far. He may need to do it again in this one if that Ocean Drake ends up coming through right here, because I quite honestly don't feel like Movistar have enough time to finish off those critical pieces of itemization.
Not at all. It's looking pretty dire for Spain. Their hopes and dreams are in Movistar to be able to survive, to be able to continue their dreams and try to get further than Vodafone Giants had last time. But they are now down, what is that, 5,000 gold to Fnatic, the team that has constantly gotten to semifinals and look like they're about to do it again.
And Movistar, you just have to question, they continue to force their way around these objectives in periods of the game where they are not stronger, where they do have scaling options.
Nice.
Here they look into mid lane.
xMatty, though, going to take the brunt of that bullet time and dies to the shutdown. Eloya getting the gold, at least is something, though, for Movistar.
Yeah, xMatty had the flash right there. Didn't end up popping that one. And now a lot of members from Movistar moving up towards top lane too. MagiFelix is able to clear away the wave though, so no dive will be able to come on through here. And, well, the game will stall out just a little bit, but that is perfectly fine for Fnatic. They don't need to really do anything too crazy because, again, their win con is just waiting 3 minutes, finding the good fight around this Ocean Drake and being as strong as they possibly can going into that fight.
But keep in mind, Movistar have good scaling themselves. They have good team fight. They can wait it out. Any little pick that delays the game and makes it so the gold lead isn't that massive makes it more favorable for Movistar. Gives them hope to stay in this game despite being down at a point when everything is on the line.
Yeah, the thing is, though, because of the early advantage that Fnatic got, you know, I was sort of looking at maybe like 2 items, 3 items for Movistar to be like the big turning point for them in this game, assuming it was a whole lot closer in this one. But because of how the game is accelerated, not just in the gold, but the fact that we very well could be, you know, wrapping things up around the next Ocean Drake, that being such a powerful team-wide objective, permanent buff to stats that it pretty much wins you fights for forever. It's like, it's that good, guys.
Well, and the poke
you know,
that,
the game is just... Yeah, no, but the game has just come too fast. And now, like, Xico's itemization, I can't believe he's built an Aetherwisp. Like, I don't understand this. You have an Ornn on your team. You can't go into a Spellbind tree. It's got to be a Rabadon's. Otherwise, you're waiting, instead of you're waiting 4 minutes to be able to get the Death Crown and the Ornn upgrade, you're waiting all of a sudden 8 minutes, 10 minutes before that ends up coming through. And if you go for another raw AP option, maybe you need a Void Staff if Fnatic start building MR. So this item, well, it maybe gives them a better spike. I don't know. I don't know if it's the right choice here.
That seems to be what it's about, though. They want the spike because they're afraid that the next fight is going to lose them the game. It's better than nothing. They're putting it all into this mid-game team fight around the Soul, hoping that if they have at least enough AP, maybe they can get the pick. Maybe then they can claw their way back in, where that early pickup that, like you said, it's a risky move, is what wins them this game.
I don't know, it feels like it's a losing battle at that point, because even if you do manage to finish off the Spellbinder in 1 minute, which is dubious at the least to try and say that one, well then you're not going to have the Rabadons by the next Ocean Drake, assuming you do get this next one. So it's going to be very crucial towards Movistar that they can secure this. We're just 45 seconds away from potential game-ending or game-deciding fight in the favor of Fnatic.
At least Movistar have closed the gap in gold. It was 4,000 before, now about 3,500. Try to keep it as close as possible. Actually, more around 2,500 now. So that way, maybe the fight's going to pan out a little bit better. But it is still going to come down to this one objective. It is going to be all onto this Ocean Dragon. Fnatic will push back a little bit of the vision control that Movistar had been able to get themselves, but with these TPs from people like MagiFelix, from people like Pride, they're not really able to push too far out themselves.
Look, I've been bad news for Movistar for the majority of this game, but with all flashes on the board, it becomes much easier for Fnatic to fight here if they play it properly.
Well, Bravado was able to absorb a little bit of pressure on the side of Movistar. Ocean Dragon has spawned. They want to be able to get this objective. Both teams are going to fight valiantly. Shockwave used just to get a little bit of damage onto Bravado and MagiFelix, hoping it could force them away. You already know TP is gone for MagiFelix.
Pride just sitting inside of this
Spotted.
bush, but Eloya will see him. Remember though, he has flash. There's no cleanses up either, so he can try to get into the backline here with Bravado.
A little bit of damage coming in from Xico. No longer having Shockwave available. They're going to start it off with the Moonlight Vigil in the backline. Here's a huge bullet time that gets so much damage on xMatty and forcing out the flash in the heal to keep him alive. Pride in the middle of everybody might go down immediately before the fight's going to be able to really break out. He barely gets out of there. xMatty on the sideline, still wants to be able to put a little bit of harass onto the members that he can. MagiFelix gonna get the flash out of rhuckz. It's gonna be secure of Dragon on the side of Movistar as they still fight back, getting one kill for themselves. But here's the TP play coming in from Pride, trying to rejoin as Bravado's in the middle of everybody. The flash coming in from beansu to try to get away, but he cannot get out of the fight. He dies there with Pride, jumping in to 3 members. He doesn't care. He knows that they have won that fight.
Huge moment though for Movistar. Yes, they lost more members, but they got themselves the Ocean Drake. They have delayed the game for at least another 5 more minutes, and they did enough damage to Fnatic that they could not immediately transition that into a Baron buff. Eloya came up clutch on the smite, and the whole team overall played it very, very well, picking a moment where Fnatic were all clumped up inside of a tight space in the river with a huge Sejuani ult and Ornn ultimate to find room for JaVaaa to put down the damage. Like, that was very well put together from Movistar.
Shows they still have the fight left in them. It was still 1 for 2 favoring Fnatic, but it's all about the Dragon, like you mentioned. That was really the prize for Movistar. Deny Ocean Soul keeps them alive, keeps them able to scale up into this game. They have that team fight capability still within them.
Oh man, now all the flash is going to be down, it looks like. Eloya, Xico, and Bravado still have those up, but this game, I wonder if Fnatic want to move over to the Baron themselves, right? If Aphelios can get white gun, red gun, he shreds through that sucker, so just maybe waiting on those and the vision control to be able to go for that themselves, because you can set up in the brush, right, with Aphelios, or not with Aphelios, with Sett plus Syndra, perhaps, and look to zone away from the pit. I would love to see Fnatic try to move in towards that potentially.
They also have Pride, who's got the majority of their gold for the team. What do you have? I think himself, it was a 4,000 gold lead over beansu. Yeah, we get a look at that right there. He has a 4,000 gold lead. That's where the gold is for Fnatic. They put it all in this Crocodile. They need him in the fight. He doesn't have PP. This is why Movistar immediately catch out MagiFelix, burn him down, deny Fnatic the fight they wanted.
The power of Movistar's comp, the long range engage, and no flash on MagiFelix. So they get that pick kill, won't transition to much, but vision control through this river, preventing any sort of fast attempt on the Baron, but still feels like Fnatic very confident to walk on forward here. One death not going to deter them anytime soon.
Not just yet, they know they still have Pride up. That's the guy who has all the gold. That's the guy who's ahead. He's working on that death dance to be even stronger in the backline, where it's even more difficult to burst him down. It almost looked like they could have gotten a pick onto Eloya, but he will be able to get out of there. Backing off. For time being, Movistar still at least wrestling some control from Fnatic, making it so that it's not going to be quite over it. This is starting to look a little bit reminiscent of game 1 now, that we're getting into the mid-game where they're both waiting to see who's going to allow an opening.
Yeah, the difference is Fnatic are almost always going to be just one objective away from turning on the gas and winning the game. You know, I brought up Xico's itemization earlier, and I understand the theory behind going for the Oblivion Orb right here. There's not a lot of MR being built up just yet by the side of Fnatic, but he's just never going to get an Ornn item. And I feel like that is a huge miss in a pivotal game like this to not be able to find that one. And if he ends up upgrading into the Morello, like, I understand it, especially if an Ocean Drake does come through, but at the same time, you're fighting a losing battle if you are not looking to max that passive.
I do agree. It is a bit unfortunate. Plus, you're not going to have that full burst that is going to be reliable. If you pop Spellbinder, you can get that extra AP, but it's more reliable when you have Death Cap and Death Crown after that to really get that damage onto someone who's going to be squishy, like MagiFelix, like xMatty. Since we still haven't seen, we've got the Banshee's Veil out of MagiFelix, but we haven't gotten the Quicksilver Sash out of him like we wanted to see. Ooh, almost thought there was going to be the fight.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure if MagiFelix can go for a QSS this game. I feel like he's going to need the damage in this one. Bravado gonna have to flash, and that's a huge loss before the fight starts. Now, Pride's flash is going to be coming up very, very soon. Remember, that's how he gets into the backline. That's how these fights become super winnable for them, because he is so insanely powerful. 3 items on the Renekton, double lifesteal as well, so it is very hard to cut him down.
Still like this posturing coming in from Movistar. They're not relenting. They're forcing Fnatic's carries to have to step up in order to wave clear, all the while they can sit back and relax. They don't have to worry. They have their tanks sitting right in front of the minion wave. That way they can still fight over this dragon. They are not going to give up the soul easily.
And they don't have to either. Movistar still surprisingly strong, even though the game has not gone well. But here we go!
Look for the pick onto xMatty, and they get it. The flash in from rhuckz, he's still going to be alive. They pop to try to see if they can get a little bit faster into the backline, but it doesn't matter. They took out the carry right as the dragon spawns up. They're looking eyes set on the objective. They want to continue to deny that scaling that we know Fnatic desperately want.
Unbelievable. xMatty locked himself in animation. Eloya pounced on him. Now he has to land the smite.
It's going to be a smite fight. They're just going to deny. They want to make sure they pop the Ragnarok. He's not going to be able to get into the pit as easily. Keep him away. It's down to 25%.
Flash.
He could get into the pit over the wall. He's hanging out
just
around
pushed over the wall, Fnatic.
but they're waiting. Movistar don't want to let it happen as a smite fight. They're just waiting it out. They forced away Pride. Hava's on his way back here, and they've delayed this long enough. Now they can go and commit into the fight, making it so that Bravado has to get away. MagiFelix on the other side takes a big chunk of damage. It's going to be the turn onto Dragon. Another one denied to Fnatic.
Unbelievable right there. Fnatic had a window where MagiFelix could try to burst it down over the wall with his full combo, while Dan flashes over, throws, like, you throw Q first, you flash, then you press E, and then you smite. It was it was right at 2000 HP. They had the burst damage in order to make that play happen, but they did not pull the trigger, and that gave time over for the rest of MRS to make it inside the pit and zone Dan away from the pit. So now Movistar have gotten their second Drake of the game. They've delayed the match again, and we've already seen they're looking powerful. They're looking like they can win these fights.
They've got the Molten Edge onto Hava now. They've gotten the carries in a good position, even though it's still not going to be the death cap or death crown for Xico. They find themselves in a comfortable spot, mostly using Xico to be able to get utility into that backline, disrupt them at any point, all while Eloya starts off each and every fight.
Tick-tock here too. It won't be Hava going for the Executioners calling this game. It will fully be Xico's responsibility going Morello here. And you do need some healing reduction, I do think, against the Renekton. It's just a difference in mindset here, whether it's going to be Hava. So Hava going full DPS now, working on the Bloodthirster as well. And you've already seen his ultimate in these fights can tear through your team, especially when it's going to be full damage there on the Olaf, so he's gonna get shredded, especially. Pride's at least has some armors, working on that stone plate, has the Aegis, which of course builds into the Death Stance for some bonus resistances, but we are now at a point where these fights are looking progressively more and more difficult for Fnatic to win.
And I gotta give a lot of credit over to Movistar. This is a team where you have a lot of players who've been in the SLO for a long time. They haven't really been able to crack into European Masters. They've always tried to make it here, always falling just shy, right in the top 3, top 4 of the region. But this time, they get their chance. They have do or die. They smack back in Game 2 against Fnatic. In Game 3, where it looks like Fnatic have the lead, they've slowly clawed their way back into the game. They might have had to give up that tier 1 in mid, but they still keep themselves in a position always to contest these objectives.
And now, UK's hopes on the line here. Their champion's going to be very hard to play into what Movistar have. Yes, the side lane win con is still there for Pride, but we haven't seen that too much. Xico's caught out.
Yeah, way
or
too
is
far
he?
away. The flash coming in from MagiFelix, but look at the damage that comes in from Xico. It's going to be Dan trying to see if he can jump on him, but not going to be able to pick up the kill. Xico, the fancy footwork is still alive, and everyone else is starting to win the fight. It's going to be a shockwave onto Pride, but somehow he gets out alive with a shutdown onto the Crocodile.
What is going on right there? Xico just zooms on past him. The power of the Spellbinder, I guess. Everyone is completely surprised with that play, and now Movistar can move in towards the Baron. Xico is going to teleport into the fight. Pride is down. Bravado is down. There's no flash on Dan, so a smite steal seems impossible.
And he's all the way back at base 2, Ender. This should be the Baron for Movistar. They have moved themselves up that much closer to getting to the semifinals. It's against MagiFelix as well. You can see from this replay, MagiFelix wanted to take down his former team, but Xico somehow, this fancy footwork.
Yeah, I mean, Xico was waiting over the wall trying to find the pick. He's like, okay, I just think I'm going to walk out of here. Okay, thanks for CCing Aphelios. Now he can't auto me. Thank you, Wolves, for running after the enemy team instead of me, even though I'm right on top of you. Uses the ultimate on the Renekton and gets the shutdown in the end as well. Unbelievable
Crazy
movement on that Orianna to stay alive, get his team the win in the fight and the Baron.
We've seen the fancy footwork out of JaVaaa in the past, but this time it's Xico showing that he can do it as well. I'm blown away by that from Movistar. They get the fight, they get the win, they have themselves 2 Ocean Dragons with another one about to spawn up. Looks like they should be in a position to be able to deny the soul yet again to Fnatic and put themselves at soul points.
It's been twice in a row now. Dan has not been able to get into the pit fast enough to land the smite. His flash will be back in time for it. They could just look to run it back, but I feel like it almost needs to be a smite steal to win right here. At the same time, Pride did just finish off a Guardian Angel. MagiFelix has the Void Staff too, so maybe there is a way for them to get through the front line of Movistar, but not
xMatty way too far out, immediately killed by JaVaaa. No more ADC for Fnatic. They're trying to fight back, but honestly, Movistar don't even care. They're going to march these minions in mid, then reset so they can get themselves within soul points.
Eloya's ultimate is a homing missile on xMatty. 3 times in a row now, he has found him in that middle lane and punished him right as a major neutral objective is coming onto the map. Dan can do absolutely nothing. The 3rd ocean goes over, and now he's just caught out.
Dan, why are you up there? You have no flash. You already used it to just get away, and you were too late to contest. With him being so low, Baron on the heads of Movistar, they should be able to get this inner turret.
With ease, they're going to secure this one. Bravado maybe stepping a little bit. Eloya thought it was too good to be true. He didn't even go for the engage right away. But man, Movistar, after being behind for 30 minutes, are cracking on the base.
And it's Fnatic now. They're the ones desperately looking for a play. They got Bravado on the flank, hoping that he could be able to get into the backline, but he's too late. Everyone's recalling. They have the empowered recall, and they can easily reset the fight.
I mean, Matty just had the most useless ults right there. He had red gun, blue gun. So blue gun, yes, it does damage, but it cannot help set up that fight for you at all. If he had the CC, if he had the purple gun, he would have been able to set up for Bravado, but it was not there. The ultimate does nothing, and Movistar can back away scot-free.
This is just incredible. Seeing Movistar rally back like this. We thought it was over. We thought Fnatic had everything. But it was these little wins, these little concessions that Fnatic gave over to Movistar. They cracked it open wide and kept getting the gold back onto the right members, onto JaVaaa, now onto Xico, who's found himself not punished for quite some time, not having the death cap, and he's one step away from having that item.
He is very, very close now. Feels like all but... It feels too late now for Fnatic. They had their window where they could make things happen, but now we're 35 minutes in. The Renekton is playing against a Janna and Orianna. So much CC, so much range on the side of Movistar. So much of the gold was put into Pride. He played a phenomenal game throughout, but his moment to shine is now gone. It has to be xMatty and MagiFelix to step up, but they have not played a good game 3 here tonight. They would need to turn everything around going into that crucial fight in 3 minutes, because we've been teased for the last 15, been saying, hey, this is the fight around the ocean that might end it all, but Movistar have won it time after time after time. This one in 3 minutes will be game deciding.
Incredible stuff. Making it so that even with the pressure, they're still fighting back, and looking to repeat history where Spain denied Fnatic going to the finals in summer last year. They are going to deny Fnatic semifinals if they're able to pull off this miracle run of victory in Game 3. It's going to be close. We got 2 minutes until the Ocean Soul. One team will get it. Fnatic have had the chances for so long, but Movistar have never relented and never given them an option to be able to secure it.
Everything coming through now for Movistar. It feels like this is their time to win it all. They have the Death Crown on Orianna. Level 16, level 17 now for JaVaaa, and maybe a pick on towards Bravado, but they don't actually see him. in time. Things getting very, very tense, but we've got a Baron in a minute, we've got an Ocean in 2 minutes. The worst thing in the world that you can do right, which we've seen far too often, is get picked off before those objectives do go ahead and spawn. Full vision control now for Movistar in the top side jungle. They're setting up for this one to try and close it out.
And you know what I see, Ender? I see a lack of QSSs on the side of Fnatic. There's a lot of potential to get picked out for MagiFelix and xMatty. Eloya has made sure constantly to pinpoint the carries, pick and bully them each fight. All you have is a Banshee's Veil to be able to survive. If they can get rid of that off of MagiFelix, Eloya is going to pull the trigger.
Yeah, they have to play perfectly, right? One positioning error and it's all over for them. They're basically telling themselves, hey, we actually just need better items, right? We can't waste any gold on stats that aren't giving us damage because we already feel like we're being outgunned in the 5 versus 5, so do not make a mistake. But your jungle is dark.
Oh no.
xMatty, you have to be prepared for Eloya to jump on you.
They're really far out and they're constantly spotted out by these blue trinkets from Movistar. Could have looked for the pick, but they didn't want to just yet. Eloya gonna go in. Here's the backline action that they needed to. Bravado and deep behind enemy lines, but they already popped the GA out of Dan. Here comes the bullet to completely zone it away Fnatic, and they're gonna be able to get the shockwave double kill that they need to. Taking away that Guardian's Angel out of Pride, the one who had all the gold. He's gone out of the fight. xMatty taking way too much damage from Hobbit, even though they almost were able to turn it around. Eloya gonna be able to flash right into the backline so they can secure more, only losing the jungle, but they have won this fight decisively in the face of adversity. Fnatic trying what they can. They get MagiFelix to go golden, but he is alone in the world. He dies upon respawn, and that is going to be Movistar with minions there, not even wanting the objective, not even wanting the soul. They just want victory.
Movistar have pulled this game back from the brink of defeat, winning fight after fight after fight for the last 20 minutes, and now they're going to make their way to the semifinals.
The rookies, the new kids on the block, they take on the veterans who've been to so many European Masters and say, we know how to win, we found victory, and we will deny Fnatic their third semifinal in a row.
Unbelievable. It looked like it was all but over. Sure, we knew Movistar, in theory, you have that scaling advantage, but Fnatic got out to such a large early game lead that we were ready to give it to them. All they needed was one more Ocean Drake, but Eloya came up clutch, not only in the smites around those objectives, but absolutely destroying xMatty before every single fight. He picked him off with the Sejuani ultimate and got his team that victory.
And with that win, Movistar Riders are going to secure a trip to the semifinals. We're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, we're going to have an interview with the head coach of Movistar Riders. George will be joining me shortly.
Magic.
Vous comprenez maintenant pourquoi j'ai créé la Magic? En un clip, vous devenez Magic.
La monture avec ses 2 clips pour 149 €.
C'est Magic.
Dispositif médical.
This is my creed. The boots that make me faster. The items that make me stronger. The potions that I drink. I get the best to be more powerful, so my champion rises to the top. But all this leveling up means nothing if I don't level up myself. It's the healthy potions I drink in real life that make me stronger. Because you can only rule the game when you realize you are your most important champion. To play like a pro, eat like a pro.
Welcome back into European Masters. I'm here with Jarge, the coach of Movistar Riders, and man, I gotta say congratulations on that victory. That was definitely a nail-biter of one in games 1 and 3. How do you feel after that?
Pretty stressed, to be honest. No coach likes to watch those games and see it how it was. But to be honest, game 1, I felt really comfortable after the draft. But then, I don't know, it felt like we just had this really random off game. We were not doing any of the things that we usually do. Our communication system just broke down entirely. I really, honestly, I'm not sure what happened. But game 2, we brought it back. And then game 3 was, you saw what happened in the game, right? It was just mega stressful. But I'm obviously happy we won, but the way we played in game 1 was a bit concerning. But the way we played in game 2 was so much the way we usually play that I think it was just kind of one of those random occurrences where, everyone gets an int game, and that was our int game, so it was fine. Oh, I am sorry, I can't hear you. The
game 1.
The sound is breaking.
Don't worry, I'll try to speak a little bit louder. So.
Oh no, it's fine. It was just
kind of answered. Don't worry. So okay. I just want to ask you about Afghan, where it was stressful. You guys had the int game, like you said. What was it you told your players to be able to have them bounce back and be so convincing in that victory in game 2?
I think a lot of it came down to the work that kind of our psychologist and my other coach sense, the kind of the work that we do every day. It comes down to we have an established shot calling system, which I think actually I'm really proud of. Our shot calling system I think is really good. And we just kind of reminded ourselves that what is it that makes us a good team? These are the steps that we take to do X decision, and we have to follow the steps, and we didn't follow the steps, and we saw what happened in the game, and we just reminded ourselves we have to listen to these people. We listen to the shot callers, we listen to each other, and we follow the process. We have kind of a script that we go through every game to make sure that decision making is made easier, and we were not following that script, and we just reminded ourselves that this is what it means to be a player for Movistar Riders, and this is what it takes, and this is how we have been successful in the past, and this is what continues to make us successful. And we went back to that in game 2, and everything looked much better.
Then going into game 3, so you kind of briefly talked about it and how it's a stressful place to be, where you have it one soul, and that's it, one loss in a fight, the game's over. And you look at that, and I gotta wonder, did you still have that same confidence in your players that didn't matter, even though it was stressful for you, you knew they were going to be able to bring it back?
Yeah, I think the first fight we had in the bottom lane was a bit of a misexecution. But I think from that point, we started to bleed out a bit, but we realized really early on that we outscale. So we were looking for opportunities always. But I think in the mid game, Fnatic had a much more proactive composition that requires them to snowball the game quite aggressively to win the game. And even though it looked like we were really, really far behind, actually they were never really close to winning the game, they were not taking anything from the base or anything like this. So it looked really bad for us, but as long as we kind of recognized that our win condition at that point was to just kind of scale, not take too many risks and look for opportunities, which I think Eloya did a super great job on. He really, for me, him and I think rhuckz as well, kind of the shot calling system that they have together is really superb, and I think it really showed up this game. For me, even if we had lost this game, I would have been extremely proud of how we played it, because the kind of level of focus, the level of calm that we brought to this game, we were not panicked at all this game. And for me, it was kind of really inspiring to see the way that we kind of kept our cool. We clearly identified our win condition. Everyone was on the same page. Everyone played for it. Everyone was communicating in the way that we are supposed to communicate, and everyone kind of fully committed to that win condition. Even though people had to make individual sacrifices, there was no ego involved. There was no, people were not kind of being panicked because, I'm individually behind. It was just, this is what we have to play for. Everyone has to chip in, and we did it. And honestly, this for me was, I think, honestly, kind of my proudest moment as a coach.
And it was definitely something to be proud of. You guys were able to take victory 2-1, make it to the semifinals. And before I toss it off to a break, I do want to ask you really quickly. LDLC versus Kick Neosurf. Kick Neosurf, the only team to make it to the knockout stage. Oh, sorry. Kick Neosurf versus Gamers Origin. Thank you very much. That was my bad. I misspoke. But Gamers Origin, between these two teams, they play a...
The sound is gone again. I cannot hear you. But I know the question you're going to ask, so I'm going to kind of jump in
Yes.
anyway. You're asking me about
Jump
Cube
in.
versus Gamers Origin. So, I mean, so far we've been farming the first seeds from every region. We farmed Schalke in the group stage, and we just farmed Fnatic. So I expect Gamers Origin to win because we have to keep farming Gamers Origin so we can beat Rogue in the finals and go through every first seed. That's the way we have to play. We have to bring back glory to Spain because we are the best region. So that's what it's got to be Gamers Origin, I'm afraid. They have to make it because we're coming for you. I want every first seed on my docket list this year.
See, I like that mentality. We'll see how that's going to go. Scoundrel and Trouble Inc. will be taking over for me. Jarge, thank you so much for the interview. You're awesome to talk to, and good luck in the semifinals. We'll come back after a short break.
Thank you. Bye-bye.